Hello and welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Introverted Nerd Watches. I am your host, Reese, and I'm back for some more Saved by the Bell because that is what I do. I watch Saved by the Bell and I podcast about it. I have no other things going on in my life. I am a very sad person. Not really. I watch other things too. Anyway, on this episode, I watched season 4, episode 18 of Saved by the Bell. Palm Springs Weekend, part 1. Yeah, bitches, there are 2 parts to it. I was going to do it all together, but, I had to leave you waiting we had a to be continued in this episode. All the suspense, it's killing me. So, Palm Springs Weekend, part 1. The entire gang packs up their stuff, goes to Palm Springs for Jessie's dad's wedding. Oh my God. The things that I have to say about this episode. But before I get into it, you need to subscribe to the podcast because you want to get this every week, right? First thing in the morning when I release the episode, you want it to be in your podcatcher and waiting for you. So subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, or be like me if you have an Android and you're not happy about it, but you still have an Android. Subscribe on Castbox or whatever. You know all the stuff. Wherever you get your podcast, subscribe, rate and review the podcast, and just listen to me all the time. If you don't subscribe to anything else, subscribe to moi. So, Palm Springs Weekend, part 1. Okay, first of all, I thought way too long about the parents in this show, just based off of this one episode. So I was trying to decide who has the worst parents, because you might think Zack is a piece of shit. He's terrible. He obviously has the worst parents. But then I was thinking his mom is kind of cool. I kind of like his mom. I liked her haircut in the last episode that we saw her, which was that when Kelly broke up with Jeff. So I liked his mom. She wasn't that bad. His dad, very neglectful. Derek Morris, not a good father. So Zack, 50-50 chance. He is falling on the bad side, the neglectful father side. So he's, awful, but it's not his mom's fault. So that's Zack. Kelly's parents, I can't get a handle on them. They got like 20 kids. They live in California. They send Kelly to school with her baby brother, an actual friggin' baby. So that was terrible. But yeah, I don't have anything good to say about Kelly's parents either, but Kelly is sort of overcoming that because, she is like trying to overcome her bad parents. So I appreciate that about her. Lisa's parents are the best, right? Lisa's mom is a doctor. I believe her father is a doctor too. Lisa's kind of a spoiled brat, but her mom, we only seen her mom in that one episode where where she has to operate on Zack. So we don't have a big enough sample size of her, but just take my word for it. Lisa's mom is the friggin' best. She's a black mother. So of course, she reminds me of a lot of black mothers that I know. So I, just take my word for it. Lisa's mom is the best. So her parents, her parents are the best. So Lisa's parents are number 1. Screech's parents, their son is Screech. So that is a major strike against them. Nothing else to say about Screech's parents. Just people feel sorry for them. Their son is Screech. And now we get to Jessica Spano's parents. Jessica Spano, who is an only child and a feminist. So you think, a really intelligent girl. So you think Jessie comes from a good family. you know, she must have good parents. And then you watch this show and you see how Jessica is, why am I calling her Jessica? She is the definition of white feminism TM. Like in the dictionary, if there's white feminism in the dictionary, Jessie Spano's picture is right there. She is the worst. Jessie hates women. I was thinking, like, is there a name for a feminist that hates every other woman? Like there's those turf women who, the trans exclusionary feminists. There needs to be another name for a feminist that hates all other women, because that's who Jessie is. Jessie's a sucky person. And then we get to her mom. Okay, Jessie's parents, like combined, are awful. Her mom, we saw not that long ago, a few episodes ago. Her mom got married, and married to a man that has a son who she never introduced to Jessie. Jessie gets a new stepbrother who basically tries to ruin her life. In those 2 episodes, Eric, who we'll never see him again, but it doesn't matter. He already did all the damage that he needed to do. So her mom gets married and doesn't introduce her to her future stepbrother. That's bad. Like, okay, she met her future stepfather, never met the future stepbrother, but that's a strike against her mom. But we're going to excuse Miss, I don't know what her name is now, Ms. Spano. We'll just call her Ms. Spano. And now we get to Jessie's dad. Jessie's father, Mr. Spano, who is getting married in this episode to a lovely young woman named Leslie, who he's only been dating, I believe, for 6 months. And never once in all those 6 months introduced his only daughter, his only child so far, to his future wife. This motherfucker. I was like, how is this a thing? How do you not introduce your daughter? Like, okay, I was telling you a few episodes ago, this happened to me, but I was an adult when my dad did this. I mean, it's well known my dad was a piece of shit. So, it's not surprising that my dad introduced me to his new wife and his 2 stepchildren. One day he just rolled up to my house and introduced them to me. I completely forgot about it. That's how important my dad was to me. But Jessie seems to love her father. They seem to be really close, but she obviously hasn't seen him in the past 6 months because my dude is engaged and about to get married. And Jessie has never met the woman. She doesn't even know what she looks like. Oh my God. So Jessie has the worst parents. And Jessie rivals Zack for being the worst person on this show. Like, Jessie continues to prove that while Zack Morris is trash, Jessica Spano, like, if Zack is garbage, Jessie is trash and making her way over to the garbage pile. So that's what we are with with the competition for who's the worst in this show. So who is it? Jessie, Zack, Slater, Screech, Lisa, and Kelly. They all arrive at this hotel and they're way too excited to be in Palm Springs. I always feel like I can never gauge how rich these kids are because they throw me off all the time because Zack and Jessie, and Lisa are the 3 who are like, okay, I'm sure they're rich. Like, we know all the shit that Zack has. They're rich. Jessie and Zack live next door to each other. So they got money, and Lisa's parents are both doctors. So these 3, I'm positive, have money. Um, Slater and Screech, I think, are on a level that is a little bit lower. But they still are, upper middle class kids. Kelly is the only one that we know is like dead broke. She has 100 siblings, and her dad doesn't always work. I don't even know if he has his job back yet, but she's the only one that has like serious financial issues. These other kids should be used to shit like this. They're in Palm Springs. Now, I'm not in California. I don't know, the whole geography of California. I do know that Palm Springs is, just from my my extensive California knowledge, based on Beverly Hills 90210, Saved by the Bell, and some other shows I watch that take place in California, Palm Springs is a nice place, but it's not like the land of millionaires or billionaires. But and I feel like even a regular old person like me wouldn't be like I'm broke as shit. I don't have any money. I feel like I wouldn't go to Palm Springs and be like surprised or just ecstatic about being there. I'm sure it's nice, but come on. The way they rolled up to this Palm Springs hotel, you would have thought that it was like that 7-star hotel in Dubai, and not the equivalent of one of the moderate hotels at Disney World. Like, come on. They were just way too excited about it. So apparently Jessie's father runs this hotel. So I'm not sure what his job is exactly. They just said he runs the hotel. I don't know what that means though. But I'm guessing it means he has like a lot of money. So he invites Jessie and her 5 friends, but we never see any other guests. We don't see any of their friends. Like, we don't see any of the dad's friends or any of Leslie's friends. So it's weird that he invites his daughter to meet. Okay, this is the other thing that is just like, okay, Jessie's dad is awful. He invites Jessie with all her friends, and the first time she meets her future stepmother is with all of her friends there. Like, don't you invite your daughter, like, even if you do invite her with all of her friends, don't you at least say, like, okay, Jessie, since this is the first time you're going to meet my fiance, it'd probably be a good idea for us 3 to have dinner together. Since I'm getting married. I'm getting married this weekend. I want you to meet my fiance before we actually get married, and I don't want it to be in a room full of people. Oh, he's terrible. He sucks. So they're in this hotel. It looks like a Disney hotel. Very cute. But the first thing Jessie does when they get there, so they see this woman walk past who is wearing the most, I don't know how somebody could have so little clothes on, but be so unsexy. So the woman walks past and she's wearing like an aerobics like leotard. And it's all like full one piece thing. It just is not flattering. It's like those super high, I want to call them coochie cutters. I know coochie cutters are shorts, I believe. I feel like coochie cutters is something that I know from when I was a kid, and they were like really short shorts. But I'm calling her outfit a coochie cutter because I believe she had camel toe. But, I wasn't paying that close attention to her crotch. But I'm just saying, it's this super high cut, like, leotard thing that she's wearing. And Zack and Slater, of course, are, like, really blown away by the quote unquote beauty of that woman. And Jessie is, like, offended. She's like, like, really, guys? She calls the woman a bimbo right off the bat. And I'm like, really? This woman just walked past. She didn't do anything wrong. I think her outfit is unflattering, but there's nothing, this is what the 90s did to women. Or the late 80s and the early 90s. This is what they did to women. But she did not deserve to be called a bimbo. And Jessie, I'm like, girl, feminist, what are you doing? Like, you just see a woman walking past who is obviously in workout clothes, but you call her a bimbo? Really, Jessie? This what we doing? Okay. But this gives Zack and Slater the bright idea of like, oh, we see this woman. Let's go see where all the other women are. Let's not go to the pool where women are out in bikinis and bathing suits and all that. Let's go to the gym to see all these women working out. What? I got so many questions here. Like, first of all, who goes on vacation and works out? Like, I've never been on vacation and ever stepped foot in a gym in a hotel. You will not catch your girl like wasting time in a fucking hotel gym when I could be out having fun. No. But that's what they do. They go to the gym, and it's so obviously like a tiny room. And they have a giant mirror there so that it looks like the room is bigger, but they walk into this room where there's like 4 machines and and there's like 3 old women there. Well, not old women, but they're too old for them. And a dude, like a big beefy dude there. So it's like, why would you go to the pool? I mean, I don't think Palm Springs is in the desert, right? So there's no beach or anything to go to. But they do have a swimming pool. We see a swimming pool later in the episode. So why not go to the swimming pool where you can relax? And I mean, if you do want to be like disgusting men, creeping on women at a pool, whatever. We've never thought that these kids were that smart. So I don't know why I even bother. So Zack sees the aerobics woman in the gym. And he introduces himself to her and he's trying to flirt with her. But, okay, I never understand this because Zack knows that this woman is an adult. Like, I'm sure he believes that she's an adult. And if he didn't know that at first, he eventually gets it when he starts talking to her and she tells him that she's the aerobics instructor. So he knows that she's not his age. She's not a 16-year-old girl. She's an adult woman. But Zack continues to flirt. And I'm wondering, does this woman like not see Zack and think, you don't look 21 or whatever. This is why you can't question these things because it never makes any sense to me. Every woman that's supposed to be young looks 40 to me in this show anyway. So, like I said, late 80s, early 90s, not kind to mostly white women. Sorry, white women, but it's not kind to you. Because there's mostly just white women on this show. So Lisa's the only black girl. And I mean, we know what she looks like. She is fine. So the woman is like not really feeling Zack. She makes it clear that she's not interested. And Zack is still trying to flirt. So he tells her that he's going to take her aerobics class. And, he ends up embarrassing himself trying to impress this woman, and she eventually walks away, and he's like, he's being Zack and embarrassing. So Slater meets a young woman who's on the rowing machine, and he's being Slater. Now, I don't understand when this takes place in the show because we don't see Jessie and Slater break up. As a matter of fact, the last time we saw them, they were getting back together at that school dance. But it's just, I guess it's just when they go on vacation, they decide that they're going to take breaks from each other. So, yeah, that's usually what they do. What was the last time? The Malibu Sands Beach Club. Yeah. they were together before Malibu Sands. At Malibu Sands, they decided to take a break, and then they got back together during the school year. But now on this Palm Springs vacation, little mini vacay, they decide that they need to split up again because they want to keep their options open for during vacation time. I don't know. I thought way too much about this. So, okay, this was so funny to me. So this Slater is like, ooh, I like this. He's talking to this girl, flirting with her, if you want to call what he was doing flirting. So he's talking to this girl, and he tells her that she has a really cute accent, and he asks her where she's from, and she says, "Oh, I'm from Europe." Who does that? Like, when somebody asks you where you're from, why would you, like, who says the country that they're, who says the continent that they're from? Like, I'm from Europe, not the country, not you. Like, who doesn't name the country that they're from? That's so weird. Or the city or something like that. You wouldn't just say, when somebody says you have a nice accent, you wouldn't, and ask where you're from, you wouldn't just say from Europe. Like, really? Where in Europe? England or France or Spain or, 120 other countries where they have all different languages and different accents. Like, come on, girl. Like, if somebody asked me where I was from, I would say Philadelphia. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm from the northeast of the United States. Come on. Oh my God. It was just so ridiculous. It's like they didn't think of where she was supposed to be from. So they just said, just say Europe. Nobody will notice it. And I'm the only idiot that did notice, that was paying close enough attention to notice that she said that she was from Europe. So they end up going to dinner later in the night, and they meet Jesse's father there, and his fiance hasn't shown up yet. And they're talking about, they're just having a good time. And then Leslie shows up. And it turns out Leslie is the aerobics instructor. And Jessie calls her another name. So they see Leslie like walk past, and Zack is like, ooh, like giving her eyes again. And Jessie is like, oh, you want to, I was about to call her a slut, but she doesn't call her a slut. I believe she calls her like a bimbo or an airhead or something like that. But then she gets all upset because Leslie walks up to her dad and gives him a kiss. And it's like, oh shit. Zack is like, oh, I hit on your future mother or your future stepmother. And Jessie's like mad because she sees how young she is. And I'm like, really? She doesn't look that young to me. I don't know how young Leslie is supposed to be. I believe she's supposed to be like 25 or something like that. Yeah, she doesn't look that young to me. I thought she was like 30. I thought she was like 35. So Jessie getting all upset about this woman being too young for her father really just didn't make sense to me, because I didn't get how old she was supposed to be. So, yeah. Maybe that's why I'm so mad at Jessie in this episode, because I'm like, girl, I mean, I get it. Your dad could be dating a woman of his around closer to his own age, because even if she was 35, she would still be about 20 years younger than him. But even still, she looks 35, but suspension of disbelief. I'm guessing she's supposed to be around 25 or something like that. For Jessie to get that upset. So Jessie, like, she has a visible change in her face. But Leslie is being a nice woman, and Jessie's being a real cunt about it. But, nice Leslie invites Jessie to be her maid of honor. Is it maid of honor or matron of honor? Maid of honor. Yeah, because matron is when you're married, right? Matron of honor when you're married, maid of honor when you're a maid. Yeah. So she invites Jessie to be her maid of honor, and Jessie so wants to say no, but she can't because she doesn't want to do it in front of her father. So she agrees, and they, the woman's being nice. She gives Jessie a hug, which I think is a bit over the line. It's like, girl, personal space. Don't give me a hug if I'm not asking for a hug from you. That goes for everybody, not just Leslie in this situation. Because someone, okay, side, I'll get back to this in a second. Somebody at work, a woman at work gave me a hug. And she's a nice woman. I don't have any problems with her. I listen to her while she talks sometimes. Not really. I stand there while she talks and I kind of pick up every other word she's saying, and I'm really ignoring her, but I can't leave the room. But she gives me a hug, and I'm like, are we not that close? Like, girl, this is work. You don't hug me. But anyway, that is my weird work story about a woman that hugged me at work. So personal space is my point. Leslie, you're not that close to this girl. You just met her. Really nice. You invited her to be your maid of honor, but just keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands on your man. That's what you need to do. So they decide to take a boat ride, and I was like, a boat ride? Like, where are they taking a boat ride? Like, where's the water? Turns out this hotel is like the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas, and they have like this man-made water source, like this man-made river with like these motorboats going around. And it's supposed to be, I guess, really romantic or something, but it just looks really cheap. And I've never been to the Venetian in Las Vegas, but I've seen like pictures and video of it, and that looks nicer than this. This looks just like some garbage hotel. Like, it looks like a motel. Like, it looks so, it just looks so cheap. But whatever. So they decide to go on this boat, and that's when Jessie excuses herself. She tells her dad she has a headache and everything. And so Jessie leaves her friends with her dad and his fiance to take this boat ride. And I'm like, really? Are you that close? Like, I've never hung out with the parent of one of my friends without my friend for more than 10 minutes, maybe. Like, I've never spent time with them like one-on-one where I was going to hang out with the parent of one of my friends. Never done it. It has never happened to me. Has it happened to other people? I mean, maybe I'm just a weirdo. It's been well established that I'm, maybe a weirdo. So you can't judge regular normies by me. But I'm just saying, who's running around hanging out with the parents of your friends? Unless you're like really, really close, like as families, I cannot see this. And this is what happens with them. And then while they're standing there waiting for their little motorboat, Lisa and Kelly turn to Jessie's dad and Leslie, and they go, so tell us the whole story about how you met and how you fell in love. And I'm like, wait a second. Did they forget that you're all 16 years old? Like, how are you talking to them like this? Where are their adult friends? Like, really? We're telling our love story to these two kids? It's just so weird. It's so bizarre to me. Like, that they're all like interacting like we're all adults standing around here. And it's like, no, kids, you're my daughter's friends. I invited you here for the weekend to hang with my daughter. So go hang with her, and we'll get on our motorboat and, be romantic in Palm Springs. It's just so, it was so stupid. So, they have their little boat thing, and, While all this is happening, we see little flashes of Kelly and Zack kind of flirting with each other. After the boat ride, they go on a romantic walk. Well, it's not really a romantic walk. It's a group thing, and then they all sort of split up because Jessie's dad and Leslie finally decide that they don't want to spend the entire goddamn night with a bunch of teenagers. So they leave them to do what they're going to do. And Slater meets his European girl. Lisa, of course, gets stuck with Screech because there's no other guys around, and Kelly and Zack are, they go for their little romantic moonlight walk, and they end up sitting down and talking, and Kelly winds up telling Zack that he's always been a gentleman. Oh, here's what happens. Kelly gets cold because of course she does. And Zack takes off his jacket and gives it to her. And, they're talking and he's like rubbing her arms and, asking her if she's okay. And she tells Zack he's always been a gentleman. And I'm like, Houseway, like what? When has Zack Morris ever been a gentleman? He's disgusting. Like on more than one occasion, he sent a spy into the girls' bathroom / locker room to look at these girls when they don't have any clothes on. He pimped out his friend Lisa. I believe he pimped out Kelly too. So when has Zack been a gentleman? Like, come on, Kelly. Come on, girl. Like, I understand you like Zack. Just tell him he's cute and give him a kiss, and don't be blowing don't be talking all this bullshit about being a gentleman, because Zack Morris, there's a lot of things you can say about Zack Morris. Gentleman ain't one of them. So come on. I have watched this show. I have watched how many episodes of this show? Too many episodes of this show for you to ever mistake Zack Morris for a goddamn gentleman. I will not have that. I will not have those kind of lies on this show. I will not. So Zack, not a gentleman. But he and Kelly are, sort of flirting and, looking deeply into each other's eyes. Whatever. While this is all going on, Lisa and Screech are walking. Lisa is way too dressed up for, she's way overdressed for this evening, but that's just Lisa's thing. So Screech, Screech through this entire episode is basically reading the Pickup Artist book, like an early version of the Pickup Artist book. What's that book called? I forget what it's called, but it's the Pickup Artist Handbook, where you learn how to manipulate women, where you learn how to be a dude bro that manipulates women. So, and you're terrible and you probably spend all of your time on Reddit. Well, Screech invented that, or Screech was the first person to discover it, because he is walking around with that book, trying to flirt with women, and it's not working, of course, because he looks like Screech. But it's just, I really hate him. And I really hate that he has this book and he's walking around with it trying to, Lisa could not be more clear about how she feels about him, but he keeps trying. Screech just doesn't understand no. So he and Lisa are walking down, I believe that it looks like they're walking down a golf course. Okay. They're not supposed to walk on a golf course like this, but it looks like they're walking through the golf course. And he asks Lisa, he reads the book and then he asks Lisa if she's cold and she wants his jacket. And Lisa's like, no, thank you. And she keeps walking, and Screech tries to put his jacket on her anyway. And it's like he didn't even hear her say, no, thank you. It's like Lisa's being nice to him for, a second. But Screech is just, he screeched it, and I hate him for it. So Jessie continues, this night is over. Jessie continues her attitude. They actually go to the pool the next day. So there is a swimming pool that they could have all gone to instead of going to the gym. But they go to the pool the next day. Jessie is still has an attitude, and she's letting her friends know that she thinks Leslie is too young for her dad. And but nobody else is feeling it. Like everybody else, every single one of her friends loves Leslie. So they're not hearing it. She's getting more upset that her friends like Leslie. And so they're in the pool, and more flirting with Kelly and Zack. Slater and that girl. Oh, Slater's not at the pool at first. He goes out with his girl. They decide to meet up to play golf. And the girl tells him, eventually she tells him she's from like Liechtenstein or something like that. And she tells him that she's a princess. And Slater just, he ignores her, I guess. She says she's a princess and he goes, no. And he thinks she's joking. And because she doesn't press it, because she doesn't say, yeah, I actually am a princess from Liechtenstein, he just walks away from their whole interaction believing that she made that up. She was joking about it, but it wasn't funny. So he didn't laugh. She didn't laugh when she said it. So I don't know like what bizarre thing went on in his head that made him think she was lying, but it's Slater. Slater, hates women too. So whatever. So he goes to the golf course with this girl, and her dad eventually comes up. And this is when Slater finally believes that she's a princess. And I don't know why he believes it at this moment. It's like this girl said, hey, I'm a princess. Slater, it's not a joke. But suddenly this like little man walks up, says, are you treating my little girl well? And Slater is like, oh, so you actually are a princess? That must mean you're the king. And he's so impressed by the king. And I'm like, you were standing in front of a whole damn princess this whole time. She was telling you that she was a princess and you just fucking ignored it. Whatever. That's Slater. That's what he does. So, Slater has zero chill, and he starts inflating, or not even if I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He starts lying about being able to play golf. He gets nervous in front of her father, and he's trying to, tell stories about himself that aren't the whole truth. And what's her name? The girl, I forget what her name is. It doesn't matter. The European girl. She tells him like, yo, dude, take it down a notch. You don't have to behave like this. You don't have to be nervous in front of my father. And Slater, instead of saying, oh yeah, okay, I'm a little nervous, give me a second, he says, I'm not nervous. And he tries to play it off. And it's like, you look stupid, my guy. Like, just listen to her. Like, why don't just listen to her? That's the whole point. Like, if Slater would be so much better if he listened to her. So eventually later at the pool, Slater talks to Lisa, and Lisa pumps him up a little bit, and she tells him, be yourself. You don't have to pretend to be anybody else. And you think Slater will listen to that, but because Lisa is all knowing and she's the wisest person on this show, so everybody should be listening to Lisa. They never do though. Whatever. So, at the pool, Zack and Kelly get out of the pool, and they're being. You would like if you saw them doing what they were doing, you would think that they were like boyfriend girlfriend already. And so they get out of the pool and they wrap towels around each other, or Zack wraps a towel around Kelly and he starts rubbing her arms, and they're being all flirty and romantic, and then they eventually have like the most chaste sixth grade kiss where their lips barely touch, but we're supposed to believe that this was like a romantic kiss, I guess. So they kiss, and then they break apart immediately, and they don't know what to do because they have that thing where where Zack is like, oh, did we just kiss? It's like, did you black out for a second? I know your lips barely touched, but they want us to believe that you kissed. That's what you shouldn't do. Like, rule number one, if you're going to have the most chaste, like, middle school kiss that you've ever had, the thing you don't do is have one of the two people that were a part of said chaste middle school kiss ask if they actually kissed. But that's what Zack did. He asked if they kissed, and Kelly's like, yeah, and he's like trying to explain how he didn't do it on purpose, and it wasn't meant to be anything, and they're just awkward, and they walk away from each other. And Screech flows past them, past Zack with his pickup artist handbook, and he tells Zack that he and Kelly are showing signs of getting back together, and he basically describes all of their interactions with each other. And so this puts it in Zack's head that Kelly wants to get back together. It makes Zack question whether he wants to get back together with Kelly. And so that's going to pick up in the next episode. And so at the end of this episode, Jessie is like, she has a creepy moment with her dad and Leslie. So Jessie is sitting in a private like hot tub with her dad, in a bikini. She's sitting in a bikini with her dad, like by herself, until Leslie gets there. And she's sitting like right next to her father. So if you came by and looked at them, you would think that Jessie was his hot young fiance. Like, that's what they looked like while they were sitting in that, pool hot tub together. Until Leslie comes up, and, she gets in the pool, and they're being like super cute together, or I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't call them super cute, but they're being all smoochy with each other, and Jessie is like, the look on Jessie's face is like, nah, bitch, like, we're not having this. And her dad is standing there like sitting there with them, oblivious to everything. He's happy to have his two girls here with him, and it's like, can you really do that when you have like a young fiance and your teenage daughter there? Can you like put your arms around them and call them your two girls? It just feels really like creepy and weird, but maybe that's just me. So this like puts Jessie over the top, and when she finally sees Zack at the end of the episode, they're talking about how great Leslie is, I believe, or something like that. And Jessie is like, yeah, that's cool and all, but yeah, I can't let my dad marry that whore. I gotta stop this wedding. And she walks away, and and Zack is like, wait, what? And that is the end of the episode. To be continued to next week, where we find out what the fuck Jessie is gonna do to break up her father's relationship, stop the wedding, and be the worst. Because that is what she is. She is awful. Like, she's an awful person. Like, Leslie doesn't do anything in this episode except that little hug thing, which I dinged her for. But other than that, she is super nice to Jessie. When she doesn't really have to be, I don't think, because her dad seems like Mr. Spano seems like the type of dude that is like, Jessie, you're about to be 18 years old soon. I want to get I want this young chick with me. So if I gotta choose, I'm gonna choose her. So this is not something that Jessie can win. So she better get on board because her dad will drop her in a second. Like I so feel like her dad is the type of guy that will be like, sorry, Jessie. I mean, he didn't introduce you to his fiance for 6 months. Girl, you better stop it because you will not see your dad for the next 10 years. He will drop your ass so quick. So that's the end of the episode. Next week is season 4, episode 19, Palm Springs Weekend, part 2, where we see what's going to happen with Slater and his royal girlfriend. Will Zack and Kelly get back together? Who knows? And what the fuck is Jessie gonna do to break up this wedding and to stop her father from marrying the love of his old life? So that is it, you guys. Coming up on the podcast this week, Blacklight. Okay, so I'm recording on Tuesday. It's like a Super Tuesday thing. Black Lightning, The Flash, and The Gifted all come on tonight. The Gifted and The Flash come on at the same time. Now, I'm not podcasting about The Flash, but I do want to watch it. But I can't watch it tonight. I'll live tweet it tomorrow probably. But I will be live tweeting The Gifted like I do every week. And that episode of The Gifted will be out on Friday. And Black Lightning, which I will also live tweet like I do, I'll do every week. That and the episode about the premiere of season 2 of Black Lightning will be out on Sunday. What else? Oh, follow me on the socials. I'm on Twitter at NerdTrovert That's NERDTROVERT pod. I'm on Instagram at The Introverted Nerd, and like the Facebook page at facebook.com/TheIntrovertedNerd. If you want to send me feedback about anything, send it to theintrovertednerd.com. All of this stuff will be in the show notes, so just click on that when you download the episode. And until next time, everybody, laters.